Hi, my name is Isabel Rosales, and I'm 37 years old. I moved to San Diego with my three children and ex-husband 4 years ago from Chicago. I was married for 16 years, and we had four children together. Here's my story. My journey has not been easy. I got out of a 15-year marriage that I eventually thought the only way out was something erratic or death, and so it was very close to happening that way. On an early Saturday morning, January 27th, 2018, as I was waking up to get ready for a special project at work, it was one of those arguments that rolled over from the night before. And my choices were stay and obey or done once and for all. I thought by him saying it ends today and it's over, that he was finally on the same page as me and we were done. Boy, was I wrong. I was stabbed in the neck multiple times in front of my children who slept by the person I trusted and gave my entire being to for almost half of my life. I had no idea what was next, no clue what I was doing or how my life would end up. What I did know is that it was over and I was free. Injured, bleeding, and in an ambulance. I just wanted to know that my three kids were safe and alive. And I felt like I could finally breathe. The weight of the world had been lifted off my shoulders because I was free. And he was finally going to pay for everything that he put my kids through, and he can no longer harm me. Nothing hurt me at the time. I'm not sure if it was the adrenaline or the fact that my body was finally able to relax from being tense all those years. As much as the paramedics and police officer asked if I needed anything, I just quietly shook my head. I let them do their job. I answered their questions and I cried. But they were quiet, happy tears of joy. I had made it out alive. By the grace of God, somehow, some way, I found the strength to say enough and fight back to get out of that house despite my injuries. Many times back home in Chicago, I thought about leaving the marriage, but I didn't know how that would work. I didn't mention it to my family or friends because I was not sure that it's what I wanted. I didn't think anybody would help me. And in my head, as a survivor, I needed to see the outcome. I needed to trust that the decision I would make would not put me in more harm because I already knew how to deal with the harm that I was in. If not, I couldn't make a move. I didn't think it would be safe to leave him. Plus, his family would try and tell me, like they always have, what did I do to mess things up? Why can't I change my ways? Why do I have to make him mad? Why can't I listen to him? And on and on. So I knew leaving him when we were in Chicago was not a solution, but yet would lead to more problems. I asked for a divorce a couple days after our 15th wedding anniversary. And after arguing about why, he asked me to wait until after the holidays. I started to look into getting some kind of help through work the week that I was attacked. It's like my body felt like the day was coming. I knew that here in San Diego, if I left him, I could find the resources and I had the ability to move forward. No one would be around to cloud my thoughts and bring me down, as I was going to find a way to make it. Red flags were always there, but I think more recently, since we had moved to San Diego, the control and the isolation had increased. Things were getting too hard to juggle from day to day, controlling everything that I did, everywhere that I went, timing me, tracking me. I was losing myself in order to survive. I replayed scenarios in my head of how I would make it through the day and what I would say if and when I didn't make it on time. It was when I knew that I had enough. I noticed the jealousy and demeaning language increased as well. And my kids, they didn't seem happy. They were growing up and hearing everything. I felt hopeless, but I didn't want to show my kids that I had given up. There were numerous times over the marriage that I was abused mentally, emotionally, physically, psychologically, and sexually. And each time it happened, I just said to myself, it'll get better. He'll change. Maybe there won't be a next time. I have to keep going for my kids. I have faith. One day it will all be over. One day I will be happy and live the happy life. He was a bully. He bullied my children when he wasn't bullying me. And he harmed them both mentally and psychologically, each in his own way. It's something that to this day, they say they don't want to talk about and they wish to erase from their memory. I think my breaking point was all the control and the accusations from him. I had finally reached a point where I was tired of my weight. I was looking into weight loss surgery. I wanted a more active lifestyle. My kids were getting older. It was hot here, and I wanted to be fit, be able to get on rides with my kids, go for hikes, do what we said we were going to do when we moved here, which was live a better and healthier life. He didn't like that. He gave me all the excuses he could find of why I should not get the surgery and lose the weight. He said he loved me just the way I was. But by that point, I knew that was just manipulation because of what he would do as an Uber driver in the night, pictures he showed me on his phone, things he would say to me. I knew I was just his crutch. Who else would take care of him the way I did? I worked 2 jobs. I got us a nice 2-bedroom house for rent. We had 2 cars. I cooked, I cleaned, took care of the kids, and made sure we did fun things around the city. I was teaching my kids all the wrong things about a relationship, the wrong things about self-love, respect, loyalty. I knew something had to change. I was unhappy. I just didn't know how to go about it. I lived in such a beautiful city, a cute little home. Life was finally starting to look better than the darkness that I have lived for as long as I could remember. And I just didn't want the drama that he would create. I didn't want to be in the jail that we felt we lived in with him. So many things were impacted on the day of the attack. For one, my children were taken by CPS for 48 days because this wasn't the first rodeo that they had witnessed involving domestic violence. That has been, I think, my biggest embarrassment as a mother. I felt like I failed them. For my children to have to tell authorities that this was not the first time that they saw mommy hurt, they had to relive those memories. They had to walk through the bloody house and not know if mom was alive. And that's one thing I never wanted my children to live with. As to this day, I still relive the violence that my mother endured throughout my childhood. I fought hard to get them back as soon as possible because I owed it to them. No matter what I was going through mentally, physically, psychologically, I was going to be good and get them back because they didn't deserve to be in foster care. They didn't deserve the life that they were going through, away from their home, away from the 4 of us being together. I found strength in me that was always there, and I allowed myself to show my strength in every single thing that I did from that moment on. I stayed in a house where I was attacked for 3 months until I couldn't afford to pay the rent on my own anymore. The hardest and saddest thing was to come home every night after work and after visiting my children in foster care for an hour. Coming home to an empty house where we had made so many memories. There were no kids. There was no dinner on the table. There was no noise, nothing. but I knew it was all for the better. That was not a life. There was nothing normal about that life that we had lived. We had just made the best out of everything that we had. It was hard to move out. Although we loved living in Old Town, it didn't mean the same thing anymore. The pain outweighed the beauty of the house, and we realized it was time to go. It was time to create our own path. We had about 9 months of continuances before we had to take the stand for the preliminary hearing. My oldest daughter and I had to testify before the ex-husband in court. It was hard. It was the first time talking about the attack in front of him, but we did it. My daughter did an amazing job, and I think it was an opportunity for us to prepare for trial. That's where we were headed, to trial in June of 2019. But it was until the last minute that he pled guilty and we didn't have to stand trial. In the meantime, though, we had what was called Kids in Court. Weekly, we would meet in the courthouse with the kids after hours so that they had a feel of what it was like to sit in the stands and get to know the courtroom. It's not something I wanted my kids to go through, but if it was to ease their anxiety so that they felt more confident and safe in the courtroom, having to face a monster like him, we did it. Shortly after being released from the ICU in the hospital, I was introduced to the Family Justice Center, and I met countless supportive and caring individuals along the way, like my therapist, counselors, and resources on domestic violence that I never knew existed. They gave me a hope phone until I was able to get a new one on my own because my phone was taken as evidence in part of a criminal case. So I had no way of getting a hold of my family or my friends. Detective James. No words can describe the warmth and protection I felt working with her. Abby, my district attorney on my case, from the day I met her, she promised we were going to work hard and do everything to get justice, and he wouldn't get away with what he did to my children and I. I didn't really trust anyone, but I did know that it was over and that there was nothing for me to lose by giving my all and standing tall with my head held high, leaving everything and every detail on the table. Tierney, my DA advocate, so compassionate and understanding. She helped me tremendously to believe in myself and to know that we were safe in their hands. Every single time the case was continued, as it was almost about every month for 19 months, they were by my side. And they assured me that it's all good. We got this. He is not going to get away with this. I have never felt so protected and so important in my life since my father passed away 23 years ago. As a victim of domestic abuse, I know the loneliness, the silent yearns for help, and the hopelessness that one feels by not being protected. You live in survival mode 24/7, and you just wish someone would fight for you. So many nights while I was married, I cried, prayed, and asked, who can protect me? Who can help me? Who can hear me? No one knows what's really going on. And Detective James, District Attorney Abby, and my advocates Tierney and Veronica were those hopes that fought for me. They sat with me. They talked to me. They encouraged me when I felt like there was no hope. When I had so many questions, they reminded me of what I was able to do. They walked beside me always. I also leaned on my case manager from El Nido Transitional Housing, a shelter for moms and children affected from domestic violence. I lived there for 17 months, and as hard as it was, I don't know how I would have felt safe enough to breathe and get up on my 2 feet and regain my life back. I was able to maintain my job, find resources, find my self-worth, and work towards creating a safe, independent life for myself and my children. Some of the resources and services that I was able to participate in to help me along the way were trauma therapy for myself and my 3 children. It helped us process the PTSD, process our questions, our self-love, our thoughts, everything. Victims of crime was also a resource for financial assistance with therapy, moving expenses, time off of work. There were so many organizations that helped us throughout the year, especially for back to school or for the holidays. Sometimes I didn't know how I was going to provide for my children, the things that they needed for school and just basics of growing up. I never wanted my kids to feel different than their peers just because they only had their mom and lived in a shelter. We did everything they needed. Every school event, concert, science fair, there was always a way. Faith and prayer helped me stay focused along the way, and the generous contributions from organizations that advocates like Veronica and Taranay referred me to. Both of my parents are deceased. My mother was murdered due to domestic violence, and she never got justice. So I lean on close friends I have met along my journey here in San Diego, my 2 sisters back home in Chicago, my church family, and most importantly, my 3 kids. It's been a hard and lonely ride, but I have found peace, a peace that is unexplainable. I catch myself needing to plan more and make sure it's enough, figuring out an escape or an outcome when my mind thinks that I can't make it through. But it's all part of healing. Today, I live with my 3 teenage children in our apartment. I work 2 jobs and we take one day at a time. We're finding our way, and most importantly, we are safe and free. It still gets lonely. There are still days I doubt how far I can go or if I even deserve this. But all that takes time. Thanks to the wonderful people along our journey that were there for us, waiting for us, supporting us, assured us that together we will move forward and we will be all right. For me, helping others keep the faith, that they know it's okay to keep going no matter how low something took you, and to always keep a smile. Listening to my inner voice, nourishing that once happy and independent woman, finding who I am and discovering all the things that I once wished I could experience. It's never too late to experience something. God never wasted experience. My children live in a peaceful home, and I encourage them to be themselves and to be the best that they can be, as now there's no bully or nothing that can ever stop them. I will always be their number one supporter in anything that they want to do. There are many conversations that we are still not ready to have, but with time, we will have them. I think the biggest effect that remains on my children and I is that it's so hard for us to trust anyone, to trust that they want us in their life, that they love us and that they appreciate us, to trust that we deserve to be here, to trust that people won't hurt us. What I would love to tell someone who's in an abusive relationship is get out, get help. You can do this. We're here for you. You too are courageous. You too are deserving of a happy and safe life. I once was where you were, where you are, where you have been, where you got out of. Don't go back. You got this. Don't be afraid. They're waiting for you. Those are words that I heard the last Sunday in church back home in Chicago 4 years ago. I never would have thought that those words would mean so much to me. They are waiting for you. Yes, it felt like everyone was in the right spot at the right time to help me. So many people ready to help you live the beautiful life that you deserve. Keep your faith. You're not alone. You are loved. You are appreciated. You have something that this world needs, and together we will move forward. I always thought it was courageous for me to stay in the relationship because I had 3 kids and we could say we made it through no matter what. But what I've learned in the last 2.5 years is that it's even more courageous to break free, to seek help, to get completely naked and raw and start over. Pick up your pieces, follow your path, and show your resilience and courage each and every day to build the life that you were always meant to live. To ask for help, to start all over, to share your story. Of course, not alone, with all the individuals around to help you in a healthy way. They leave a piece of your puzzle to come together for your purpose. All you have to do is show up for yourself, for your children, for your future. Don't wait until that day. Many of us don't know when that day will come. It just creeps up, and we might or might not have the capacity to fight back and survive. I waited years trying to find excuses why I needed to stay, why I needed to go back and accept an apology. I know it's hard to trust the process, to trust that people want to help you, to trust to tell your story and someone believe you. They do. There's so many people that are here to help you, to give you strength, to get you justice, to ensure that you live the beautiful life that you are meant to live and that you deserve. Thank you.